welcome to Read to Share. Today we're reading a book called Traditional Tales for Boys. Story 1, Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time there was a widow who lived with her only son, Jack. Their pair worked on their land together, but they struggled to make ends meet. One day, Jack's mother couldn't even afford to buy food for their supper. "Go to the market and sell our cow," she told her son. "She's the only valuable thing that we have left." As Jack was walking down the lane, an old man beckoned him over. "I don't have any money," said the stranger, "but I will give you 5 magic beans for your cow." Jack was an honest lad, but he was also lazy. Even though he knew his mother would be cross, the old man's offer was too tempting to resist. "I can't be bothered to go to the market anyway," he yawned. Jack took the beans. They seemed ordinary, but what might they grow into? Jack gave the old man the cow, then walked back to the cottage. "Mother," he cried, "look what I've brought home." When his mother saw Jack didn't have any money, she was furious. "Those beans won't feed us, you silly boy," she scolded. Jack gasped as she snatched the beans and hurled them out of the window. "Now we're sure to starve," snapped his mother. Poor Jack went to bed without any supper. But when he woke up the next morning, there was a surprise waiting outside his bedroom window. In the garden, a towering vine was curling up towards the sky. "It's a beanstalk," cried the boy, leaping out of bed. Jack's magic beans had grown into the tallest beanstalk he had ever seen. Jack decided that he had to climb up to the very top. Jack pulled on his clothes, then he scrambled out of the window. He grasped the giant beanstalk and began to heave himself up. He kept on climbing until the cottage and fields below looked very small indeed. "Come back!" cried Jack's mother, but he didn't hear her. When Jack finally reached the top of the beanstalk, he discovered an enormous castle. A giant woman opened the front door. "Watch out," she hissed. "My husband will eat you up if he sees you." Suddenly there was a thunder of giant footsteps. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll ground his bones to make my bread." The woman scooped Jack up and took him inside. Jack watched from a cupboard as the big ugly giant slammed fistfuls of money bags onto the kitchen table. "So many gold coins," he chuckled greedily, "and they're all mine." When the giant had finished counting his money, he bellowed for some supper. His wife scuttled in with a pot of broth that was bigger than Jack's whole cottage. The giant ate his fill, then slumped in a deep sleep. The giant's snores rumbled around the castle. Jack summoned up all his courage and crept out of the cupboard. "Those gold coins would feed us for 100 years, he gasped. "They belong to you," whispered the giant's wife. She explained in a hushed voice that her husband had stolen a great deal of money from Jack's father many years before. While the giant slept on, Jack dragged a heavy money bag out of the castle and back down the beanstalk. When Jack got to the bottom of the beanstalk, he ran inside and presented the gold coins to his mother. "You have saved us from ruin, son," she cried. Time passed, but Jack still thought about the giant and his stolen treasures. So one day, despite his mother pleading, he climbed back up the beanstalk. When he got to the castle, he could hear the giants shouting out, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll ground his bones to make my bread." Jack hid in the cupboard again. This time the giant was sitting at the kitchen table holding a magic hen. Jack waited until the giant ate his supper and fell asleep. Booming snores echoed across the kitchen. I must take that hen to my mother, the boy decided. It can lay golden eggs. Jack led the animal back down the beanstalk. His mother was thrilled with her new hen. The next day, Jack climbed the beanstalk again. The giant's wife looked frightened when she saw him. Her husband's shouts rumbled behind her. Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll ground his bones to make my bread. Jack hid as the giant stormed inside, setting a magic harp on the table. As soon as the giant had fallen asleep, Jack came out of his hiding place and took the magic harp. To his horror, the harp began to speak. Master, master, it shouted. Jack grabbed the harp, then ran out to the door. Hurry, screeched the giant's wife. You've woken up my husband. Fee, fi, fo, fum, roared the angry giant. Jack climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could. Up above him, the giant was also clambering down the branches. By the time Jack reached the cottage, the giant was almost upon him. As soon as her son's feet touched the grass, Jack's mother started to hack at the beanstalk with an axe. Stand back, she cried. As the towering plant crashed to the ground, the furious giant fell down dead, crushed by the enormous beanstalk. The magic beans had restored Jack's family fortune. Now that they was the rightfully theirs, Jack and his mother lived in peace and contentment for the rest of their days. Neither of them would ever be hungry again. The end. Thank you for listening.